There is a hidden desire inside almost every woman that most men never even notice. Not because it's rare, not because it's complicated, but because men are distracted by the wrong things. They focus on attraction, validation, physical appearance, or saying the right words. And while they're chasing those things, they completely miss what actually pulls a woman toward a man emotionally. This desire is quiet. It doesn't announce itself, and women rarely explain it directly. But when it's met, everything changes. She opens up, she invests, she becomes emotionally attached, and often she doesn't even understand why. This video is about that desire. Not from a romantic fantasy perspective, not from manipulation, but from psychology and emotional behavior. Because once you understand this, you'll realize why some men are deeply desired without trying, while others do everything right and still feel ignored. Most men believe women want excitement, constant attention, intensity, emotional highs, being pursued relentlessly. That belief is wrong. Excitement attracts temporarily, but it does not bond. The hidden female desire is not for excitement. It is for emotional safety combined with emotional depth. And almost all men get this backwards. They think emotional safety means being agreeable, available, and endlessly supportive. So they suppress their opinions, they over-accommodate, they remove tension entirely. And without realizing it, they erase attraction. Because emotional safety without depth feels empty. On the other side, some men provide depth without safety. They're intense, unpredictable, emotionally unavailable. That creates obsession, but not peace. What women deeply desire is the rare combination of both. A man who feels stable and grounded, but not emotionally needy. A man who is consistent, but not predictable. A man who can hold space emotionally without collapsing into it. This is the desire almost all men ignore. Women want a man whose emotional world feels solid. Not loud, not chaotic, not demanding. Solid. A man whose presence lowers her nervous system instead of activating it. Because most women live in a state of emotional alertness. They're constantly reading energy, managing social dynamics, protecting themselves emotionally. When they meet a man who is internally calm and emotionally self-contained, something inside them relaxes. And relaxation is the doorway to desire. This is why women often say things like, "I just feel calm around him," or "I don't know why, but being with him feels different." They're responding to emotional regulation. Most men try to create desire by adding more attention, more compliments, more availability, more emotional expression. But desire grows through subtraction. When you remove emotional pressure, desire appears. The hidden desire is not to be chased. It's to feel emotionally safe without losing attraction. And that only happens when a man is not emotionally dependent on her reactions. A woman does not want to feel like she is responsible for your emotional state. If your mood rises and falls based on her attention, she feels pressure. If your confidence collapses when she pulls back, she feels burdened. And burden kills desire. The men women truly desire are emotionally anchored. Their sense of self does not come from approval. Their calm does not come from reassurance. Their confidence does not come from being chosen. This creates a powerful dynamic. Because when a woman senses that you are emotionally whole without her, she feels free to desire you. Desire cannot exist where obligation is felt. Another part of this hidden desire is containment. Most men overshare emotionally too early. They reveal fears, they explain intentions, they open their entire emotional world at once. They believe vulnerability creates attraction. But uncontained vulnerability creates emotional flooding. Women are attracted to men who can hold emotion, not spill it. A man who can feel deeply but express selectively creates mystery and depth. Not by hiding, by pacing. Pacing creates anticipation. Anticipation fuels desire. Women are not drawn to men who expose everything immediately. They are drawn to men who unfold over time. This is why restraint is so important. Not restraint out of fear, restraint out of self-respect. Another aspect men ignore is emotional leadership. Emotional leadership does not mean control. It means stability. If she is anxious, you remain calm. If she is excited, you remain grounded. If she's distant, you don't chase. You do not mirror emotional chaos. You anchor it. This makes her feel safe without feeling bored. And that balance is rare. The truth is, most women are not looking for a man to impress them. They are looking for a man they can rest in emotionally without losing polarity. That is the hidden desire. And when it is met, attachment forms naturally, not because you forced it, but because her nervous system chose it. As this video continues, everything we talk about will connect back to this core truth. Because once you understand what women emotionally respond to, you stop trying to manufacture attraction. You stop chasing reactions, and you start becoming the kind of man women are drawn to instinctively. Now let's bring everything together, because this is where most men finally understand why attraction either deepens or disappears. When a woman feels emotionally safe with you and simultaneously feels emotional depth, something powerful happens inside her. Her guard lowers, but her interest does not. Her mind relaxes, but her curiosity stays alive. This is the balance almost all men miss. Most men accidentally destroy this balance by trying to secure certainty. They ask for reassurance, they seek clarity, they want to define the connection too early, and in doing so, they remove the very tension that keeps desire alive. Women do not desire certainty in the beginning. They desire emotional alignment with room to feel. That room is created by emotional containment. When you don't rush to label things, she feels free. When you don't demand closeness, she moves closer. When you don't panic in silence, she feels it. This is not because you are ignoring her. It is because you are not emotionally dependent on her response. And emotional independence is deeply attractive. Another layer of this hidden desire is permission. Women want permission to feel without being managed. If she is quiet, she doesn't want to be interrogated. If she is emotional, she doesn't want to be fixed. If she is unsure, she doesn't want to be convinced. She wants space to arrive at her own feelings. When a man allows this space without withdrawing or chasing, he becomes emotionally magnetic. This is why women often chase men who do less but feel more grounded. Because those men are not pulling emotion out of her, they are allowing it to surface naturally. And when emotion surfaces naturally, attachment forms organically. Another mistake men make is confusing availability with presence. You can be available and still emotionally absent. You can also be less available but deeply present. Presence is felt when you are calm, attentive, and not waiting for something in return. A woman can feel when you are listening to understand rather than listening to gain. And that feeling matters more than anything you say. This is why emotional depth cannot be faked. You cannot perform groundedness. You cannot pretend to be emotionally whole. It shows in your tone, your pacing, your reactions. If you are constantly monitoring her responses, she feels it. If you are constantly adjusting yourself, she feels it. But when you are internally settled, she settles too. That is the hidden desire in its simplest form. To be with a man whose emotional world feels stable enough to rest in, but strong enough to respect. This is also why emotional scarcity works when done naturally. Not artificial distance, not manipulation, but fullness. A man who is fulfilled does not overextend emotionally. He does not overshare. He does not overinvest early. And because of that, his attention carries weight. When he gives presence, it feels meaningful. When he speaks, it lands. When he listens, it feels rare. Women do not crave constant access. They crave meaningful access. And meaningful access is only possible when a man is not giving himself away emotionally to anyone who shows interest. This brings us to the final truth. The hidden female desire is not to be chased. It is not to be saved. It is not to be overwhelmed with emotion. It is to feel chosen by a man who does not need her to feel complete. That choice feels powerful. That choice feels safe. That choice feels earned. And when a woman feels that, she invests, Not because you asked her to, but because her emotions led her there. If you've been trying to attract women by doing more, saying more, or giving more, understand this. Desire does not come from addition, it comes from alignment. When your emotional state aligns with calm, depth, and self-sufficiency, attraction stops being something you chase and becomes something that unfolds. And if you want to understand why this emotional scarcity creates such powerful pull, there is one video you should watch next. It breaks down exactly why women run after men who don't overextend emotionally, and how scarcity formed from inner fullness changes the entire dynamic. That video is called Why Women Run After Men Who Create Emotional Scarcity. Watch that next, because once you understand how emotional scarcity works, everything you've learned here will make complete sense. And from that point on, attraction will no longer feel confusing. It will feel natural.